Hello there, Ray here, and in today's video I will be using my over 12 years of Minecraft knowledge to make you a cave mining pro. With the new 1.18 deep caves, this video will cover improved upon strategies from my previous video. We'll be taking a look at early game mining, best strategies for each ore, surface mining, underwater mining, how to find hidden caves, how to get infinite night vision, mining without mobs, new branch mining strats, strip mining, silverfish mining, instant mining, deep slate, tunnel boring, automatic ore farms, and decorational ore collecting, and how you want to change up your strategy between the early game, mid game, and end game. We got a lot to go over, so use the timestamps to navigate the video. Leave a like and let's get started. The first strategy we're going to take a look at is just mining ore as you see it. Whenever you're mining, you want to make sure to get the fortune enchantment early on and put it on the best pickaxe that you have. If you don't have fortune, go ahead and silk touch it so that when you do get fortune, you can then use it on it. Fortune will produce a lot of items that may clog up your inventory during mining. Keep in mind that all these items can be compressed down into block form, and those block forms can be converted back into item forms later on if you need to. Typically early game you find a cave in the ground, and as soon as you see some ore you just start collecting it because you know you'll probably need it. You're not too picky what type of ore it is, but once you're mid game you're probably trying to go after a very specific type of ore, and that's where this chart comes in. On the right hand side you can see how the ore was distributed during 1.17, and on the left hand side you can see how it is currently in 1.18. There's quite a bit difference between these two charts. The main thing to know is that in the past you could pretty much just mine at the very bottom of the world and get access to all the different types of ores. For 1.18 you need to kind of strategize what ore you want, and based on that you can determine what Y level you're most likely to find that ore. So the greatest amount of coal can be found at Y level 140. So if you find a stony peak, which is one of the new biomes, they're completely full of stone. That means all the ores that are within them are easily exposed. This is a great place to get the coal because you are up here on the surface. That means during the daytime, you don't have to worry about mobs spawning or attacking you. The coal is easily seen, although traversing the mountain can be a bit annoying. Y level 96 is another ideal place to find coal, and you can find exposed coal in these biomes, which are the new extreme hills called windswept hills. With 1.18's taller terrain, it's a lot easier to find these high points that have exposed ores. So anywhere above sea level is a great place to find coal. Iron ore can be found in abundance at the higher levels of the world, so you can use exposed mountainsides to collect it. Iron ore can also be found in abundance at Y level 16. If you get lucky, you can rarely find these large iron veins below Y level 0, and you can typically identify them because they'll have deep slate iron right beside some tough blocks. And then if you go ahead and kind of remove some of this, as well as some of the tough blocks, and follow this back towards the source, you can find more iron along the way. And with this Xray mod, you can see the extent of this. All those iron there are beside tough blocks, but that's just part of the vein, as there is a lot more veins. Like you can see there's a vein right here, a bunch of iron. Also over here, you can see massive strips of iron. They're just all over the place once you find them, but it can be difficult to initially find them. You can also find the new raw blocks of iron inside of them. So while you're mining, keep your eye out for deep slate beside tough blocks, and you might just find yourself the mother lode of iron. These big veins also come in a copper variation, which you can find between Y level 0 and 48. These veins can also be quite lengthy, and there can be other ones nearby. Find these, look for normal copper that is beside the granite. As long as you follow the copper as well as granite, you'll go into new areas with more ore. But you can find twice as much natural copper if the biome is the new dripstone caves, with Y level 48 being the best overall. The highest abundance of gold can be found at Y level -16. But if you mine in a Badlands biome, there's almost 3 times as much gold here compared to the lower part of the world. This special Badlands gold only occurs from Y level 32 and above, but keep in mind the very tops of Badlands are often made out of terracotta blocks, so nothing would generate up here. The largest abundance of redstone is right above the bedrock, but keep in mind the lava appears at -55, so this is probably the lowest as you want to go. The best place to find diamonds is also just above the bedrock or just above lava pool layers. For Lapis, it's a little bit special, as you can find it from -64 all the way up to 64, which each Y level having equal amounts. Unless you're mining into new areas where there isn't any caves exposing the ore. In that case, Lapis will most likely appear at Y level 0. Emerald ore is unique, where you can only find it within mountain biomes. This includes all 6 of the new mountain types for 1.18. Also includes all the windswept biomes except for the savanna one. And because the higher you go up, the more likely you are to find emeralds, you can find triple veined ores at the top of mountains. I would recommend searching with the stony peaks because they have so much exposed stone, it's easy to find emeralds as well as other ores. With the greatest amount of emeralds found at Y level 230, which is almost at the limit at which the game will actually allow terrain to reach. Now that we understand the basics of the ore distribution, let's look at the first strategy in order to maximize your mining. Because of this wide distribution, I put out a poll asking what ores do you normally go for when you go mining in Minecraft, and number one was diamonds. So let's look at some strategies that can help you with that. So one thing that's unique about diamonds is that they're reduced by air exposure. This is also the same for coal and gold. This even has a part that will never show up if exposed to air. That means we can take advantage of this by mining ores underwater. As they're not exposed to air, we can find them in larger amounts. I recommend having a respiration 3 helmet, let you last underneath water longer, as well as aqua affinity so you can mine underneath water without a slowness. You also can put these enchantments on a turtle shell, which will give you an extra 10 seconds worth of water breathing automatically. Using this, you're able to stay underneath the water for a long period of time. Now, if you do run out of air, you can carry along doors which have air inside them, which you can use to replenish, or you can even carry around gates. These can even be placed on the side of blocks so you can get air no matter where you are at. Magma patches can also be found at the bottom of these aquifers, where if you shift on them, you won't take any damage and they will resupply your air. Another advantage to mining underneath the water is that there is a lot less mobs down here. The only mobs that can spawn in here are drowns, which would rarely occur even if you were inside of a dripstone biome. Now, you could do this water strategy in 3 different areas: the water aquifers, which are typically above Y level 0, in flooded caves, which are more common underneath of the ocean, or in lava lakes and aquifers, although the visibility is really bad even after you drink a fire resistance. Alternatively, you can just have a full suit and some food that gives you good regeneration, and you can just heal yourself up to avoid dying from drowning. Now, while you're mining, keep in mind if you see any kind of weird shape that looks like it's cutting into the cave that you are currently in, go ahead and mine through it, because there's probably actually another cave on the other side. This is caused because the game is trying to keep water-filled caves separate from the dry ones, so it puts in these really weird looking walls, and if you go through them, you can find more places to cave. Next strategy, we're going to take a look at how to best take advantage of the massive caves. Even though they are air exposed ores, in some cases there's less of them. Just because of the sheer amount of surface area, we can see an insane amount of ores from here. But typically it looks like this. It's actually quite dark. So first off, you definitely want to have your brightness all the way set to max. Then you have the option to either bring night vision potions with you to make everything look bright, or by just increasing your monitor brightness so that you can see easily without needing to place down torches all over the place. As the caves are just so massive, you'd spend all your time just placing down torches instead of actually collecting ores. Now, using this trick of mine, you can actually get infinite night vision potion. All you need is a multi-shot crossbow, as well as some night vision tipped arrows. And then what you do is you just load up your crossbow with those, you shoot them upwards, and then go ahead and hop up and you'll collect the middle arrow. That'll replenish it, and then you can let the other 2 fall on top of you and actually give you the night vision effect. So I resetted it. This works for all arrow types. So here is some health arrows, and then I drop them on myself and it heals me. But since it's a little bit annoying to set up, and the longest effect that tipped arrow potion can give you is only 1 minute, it's not really worth it in the long run. You also have the option to go into your Minecraft folder, then look for options.text.txt, then go ahead and open that, and right here where it says gamma, if you change this instead of a 1 to a 16, it's gonna make it so bright that it's as if you have night vision. So that allows you to see easily, but you still have to deal with the mobs. Now, in my opinion, I would just try to avoid them as much as possible. Mining underneath of non-ocean areas at night will allow other hostile mobs to spawn there rather than spawning down in the caves where you're mining. But now with just deeper caves and so many other variations of caves, the area underground is just riddled with places for mobs to spawn, meaning that it's very unlikely for there to be mobs in the single area where you're going to be mining. Turning on hitboxes by doing F3+B makes it really easy to see mobs from a distance so they don't sneak up on you. Now if the mobs get too thick in an area, you can always use elytra in these larger caves to get to an area where there is less mobs. Or alternatively, you can use pearls to move about, because these caves are quite steep in some areas. Or you can prevent hostile mobs from spawning altogether in your game. This can be done using my peaceful trick, where I discovered that you can use shulkers or withers to stop other mobs from spawning. You can learn about it with this video linked below, and I will be doing a more in-depth video soon. The next strategies we're going to look at have to do with what the majority of you guys like to do when mining, which is collecting most ores that you see. So the one place where you can get every single ore in the overworld is right above Y level 0. Not only can you get all types of ores, but you can also get both variations of ores, the normal as well as the deep slate at this level. Now at Y level 0 there is solid deep slate, but as you move up there is less and less of it. Now just mining at Y level 0 isn't recommended because deep slate is harder to mine up than stone. Because of this, it's recommended to mine at like Y Y level 8 where there is no deep slate whatsoever, and you still get access to all the different types of ores. To be even more efficient, what you want to do is make a small hole and place down some water just above it, go into swimming mode, and then you'll be now in crawling mode inside of this hole. From here you can now branch mine, and for every block you remove, you just expose 5 new blocks, which is more efficient than if you would mine standing up. You also avoid mining the deep slate, but you can still find deep slate ores. Although you do move slower while in crawling mode, so you're not always constantly mining a block, you can offset this slowness by having your person slightly mine to the side. That way you're exposing a new cavity every so often, allowing you to even open up more areas where you can find ores. Or you can choose to mine a little bit lower where there's a deep slate, so when you do mine, once in a while that deep slate is going to mine a little bit harder, which is going to slow you down a little bit, which evens out your mining speed. The advantage to strip mining is that you can find those non-air exposed ores. You also don't have to worry about mobs, especially if you're using these low tunnels where no mobs can spawn in. And you really don't even need to have night vision when you're doing this. I would recommend doing branch mining like this, but then as soon as you come across a really big cave, go ahead and take advantage of it, and then if it dies out, go ahead and go back to branch mining. Because of the larger caves, strip mining isn't so useful anymore unless you're trying to dig out a big area. This is typically done by having a haste to beacon and having the best pickaxe. Now you can still instantly mine the stone above Y level 0, but you can't instantly mine the deep slate, although the haste beacon does make it faster for you. So if you do this, make sure to find kind of a hole that makes it really easy. Keep in mind that beacons only work 50 blocks below them, but they work infinite distance above them. So by putting them low, you can have their effects work down low as well as above. You made it this far in the video, so make sure you're subscribed with the bell notifications turned on so you don't miss out on the other crazy tutorials I do. Now, another obscured way to mine this harder deep slate is to use silverfish. Silverfish can go into all types of stone, but they can also go into the new deep slate, producing infested deep slate. So here I'm at the entrance end portal. I destroy the portal. You can do that with a mushroom using this trick. Clear out the stone types underneath, and then we just AFK and let the silverfish move around until they find a block that's not infested, and then they'll just hop inside of it, turning it into infested deep slate. I put in some powdered snow here to let them pathfind off without removing spawning locations. Once you AFK bit, you can damage the silverfish however you want. You can use like snowballs to make them mad so they tell other ones nearby to break out, or you can use poison potions which will constantly damage them, which is really effective in breaking all the rest nearby out. You have tons of these guys, and as they pop out the blocks, they actually destroy the infested block, but they don't actually go inside of ores. So this way you can remove all the infested blocks without removing any of the ores. It's a really cool way to mine, but it's really slow, plus you have to kind of wait for them to go back inside of blocks. Next mining strat we're going to look at is using moss to convert deep slate to make it an easily mineable block. To easily remove the moss blocks, you just bone mill that moss block and it's going to convert nearby deep slate blocks as well as stone types and dirt types. And then you can just continue by clicking on the corners. Once you did a large area, you can come in and just mine up the moss blocks really quickly, and this will expose new area where ores could be. Now because the moss needs to have air block above it, it doesn't work sideways into the walls, and it only allows you to really go downwards. So find a nice flat area to start with, that way you can make this method as efficient as possible. And by using hopper, then a composter, then another hopper, you can put in all the different moss vegetation, and this will convert it back into bone meal, which lets you resupply your stack. This method is great as now you can kind of like instant mine the deep slate blocks where you couldn't before, but it's better for clearing out areas rather than looking for ores. Now even though deep slate is harder to mine up than normal stone, it actually has the same blast resistance as stone, meaning that we can blow this up relatively easy. We can actually mine down low where there is the most diamonds and not have to do any extra mining. Now TNT in itself is often expensive to gather in large amounts, but by using TNT dupers in Java Edition, we can make tunnel bores that can make this way more efficient. This tunnel bore design is by Borkin, and I added in a update fly machine here that will move the entire thing forward one and activate it. You can see the TNT gets duped, put in front, it blows up, and then this will expose ores. And then you can come in and mine all the ores that you see before activating it again to see if it exposes more ores for you to mine. This is really easy to do. You just have to click the snow block and just watch for ores. Now it does take 4 seconds for the TNT to go off, which is quite a bit of time, but you do get exposed up to 45 different new blocks that could be potential for ores. But comparing this to a branch mine in a 1x1 hole, it's actually relatively similar amount of exposed blocks for the amount of time, even if you're mining through the harder deep slate with your pickaxe. So a single tunnel bore might not be worth it, but to make it worthwhile, you can go ahead and actually make multiple tunnel bores that are all connected together. And then just by activating this here, it's going to send TNT out, and the TNT is going to get launched into the wall and blow up, exposing more ores for you to collect. This design here is by Comment, and I showed how you guys can use this in this video here. Now I will show you guys how to build up this simple tunnel bore. Hop to this timestamp if you want to skip over it. So first we're going to place an ancient debris at Y level 52. We're going to build the rest of it that direction, so have a nice open area. And make sure there is an air gap in front of this. Then we're going to place in 2 more after that. Then place in any stone block. Then an observer pointing this way. A sticky piston there. Now we'll have a normal piston that's pointing back into the sticky piston. We'll then have a gap and we'll have an observer pointing back towards this piston. We'll have a wall here, then we'll have a top slab there, and then we'll finish it off by putting in a stone block there. Now we'll come in with a dead coral fan here. The TNT goes there, a stone block goes there, and slime goes here. Then slime goes there. We also have a slab that goes right here, that's top. Then we'll have a detector rail facing this direction and a minecart on top of that. Then connected to this rail, we'll have a slime block. Then we'll just put in some scaffolding blocks out here to build the engine, which we're going to use to push the stupor forward. We'll start by placing a piston facing that direction, then an observer facing that way as well. We'll have a stone block behind that, and a piston facing the opposite direction that's sticky, going into a slime, which is going into a normal piston facing it. We can come in and remove this scaffolding because we don't need it anymore to do the next part. Now we'll come in and place in our redstone block here and a note block here, and that will update it and also push this slime block as well as the cart into position. So now this TNT is butted, so make sure not to place anything that touches the TNT. So to operate the machine, all we do is click this note block here, and that's going to update the machine, move it forward, send TNT. TNT is going to blow up, and then we get access to some new non-air exposed ores. Now for the tunnel bore, we do keep it a bit high. That way the lava that comes from these lava lakes doesn't ignite the TNT. Even if you are branch mining, I also would recommend mining above the lava. You don't mine into it. But because of water aquifers as well as lava aquifers, it is possible to run your flying machine into one of these or mine into one of them. So plug up the flow as you're mining. Even though Minecraft has all these new caves and all this new strategy for mining ores, in the end, mining is probably going to always be early game or mid game for most players. That's because all these different ore resources, as cool as they are, can be obtained using my farms. To get plenty of coal, you just build my simple wither skeleton farm that I showed way back in 1.16, but it still works perfectly today. You can also combine this with my automatic wither killer and my mini pigment farm, and then it turns into a beacon farm. For iron, you can just use my simple iron farm. There's not really much to this entire thing, yet it can produce iron 24/7 in your spawn chunks. For copper, you can use my AFK copper farm that uses mob spawners where they die and drop you copper. Or you can use my redstone list version of my copper farm, which is a mob farm that takes them up to the player where he kills them. To get unlimited gold, just build my easy pigment gold farm that also works as an automatic bartering farm. So not only do you get gold, but you also get all the crazy bartering loot, all while having to do minimal amount of work. To get lapis, just build my super simple raid farm, which produces the most unique items of any farm in the game, and the Hero of the Village version of it produces lapis lazuli. Emeralds can also be obtained using my raid farm, which is even easier than trading them for villagers, and definitely much easier than actually mining for them. For redstone, you could get that from my raid farm, or you could just build my simple redstone list witch farm. Only takes about 30 minutes to build, and you don't even need to do any spawn proofing. To get diamonds, build my all-in-one villager system. This has a villager crop farm, which produces the food, feeds it to the villagers, which will produce the babies. The babies are sent down here, and they will automatically grow up and be sent into a villager adult sorting system. And then from there, they'll be automatically sent to a zombie with my automatic curing system to get the lowest prices. And then they're going to be sent down where you can decide exactly what trade you want them to have. From there, they're getting sent into the trading hall where they will keep their profession and they'll be able to resupply. And from one location, you can click on all the villagers. With the armorer villager, you can get all the different diamond armor pieces just by using emeralds. With the toolsmith, you can get the hoe, shovel, and pickaxe. And with weaponsmith, you can get the sword and axe. So there's not really a reason to go mining once you get to the end game, unless you're trying to obtain the actual ore blocks. In the past, something like emerald ore was quite rare and could be used kind of as a currency. But now that we have ancient debris, which is actually rare and quite useful, it's used as a currency right behind diamonds. But for the aesthetics of the blocks, there is some pretty cool looks with the deep slate variations. Like the coal and iron really blend in with normal deep slate. Now even though you can obtain all deep slate types in survival in versions 1.17 and 1.18 and above, some variations are harder to find, like coal is a bit more difficult to find in 1.18 than 1.17. As you can see, it barely goes into the deep slate areas of the cave. We also no longer have the blobs of tough blocks or deep slate above Y level 0, which is where you could find the deep slate variations. Let me know in the comments why you enjoy going mining. Now check out this playlist to see some sneak peeks for 1.19, or this playlist to see all the crazy simple farms I've designed. Thanks to all you guys who follow me on Twitch, as we recently reached 40,000 followers over there. You can catch my streams every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, where you can see the behind the scenes on how I designed all my big brain contraptions. I'd like to thank all you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!